Right, we're in the Jaguar XF Sportbrake. This is the XFS. It's got a 3 litre V6 turbo diesel engine, and I'm recording this on one of my favourite local roads. This is the road from the motorway to home, and it's interesting to say the least. This road, you get some pretty crappy drivers coming the other way in the middle of the road and that kind of thing, but it's quite good fun as long as you don't meet any deer or drivers. So I thought I'd talk about the XF Sportbrake that I'm in right now. It only comes with diesel engines, and this is the most powerful 3 litre V6 with 275 horsepower and 442 foot-pounds of torque. That is enormously torquey. It's rear-wheel drive. It does 0 to 60 in 6.1 seconds. Top speed is limited to 155 miles an hour, and it costs £44,000. So it's roughly £15,000 more expensive than your equivalent Volvos and fully loaded Fords and things like that, and the Honda Accord Tourer that I had last week. But it's worth it. It really is worth it. This car's worth every penny. It's a luxurious car to drive. The ride is awesome. It's damped very well. It's got air suspension at the back because it is an estate, and it is a real estate. It might be called a sports brake. The window line kind of curves down at the back. The roof line's actually quite low. There's about as much space above my head as there was in a Vauxhall Adam small hatchback that I had recently. It's got quite a high waistline. It's the waistline, the window line is just lower than my shoulder, and the roof line's quite low. The A-pillar is, as a cyclist, thank you, glad I didn't meet them on a bend. The A-pillar's, the windscreen is raked quite well, but the car looks great. It looks great, and the boot is pretty cavernous. It's not very tall, but you don't really need a tall boot unless you've got a Great Dane in it. Despite being rear-wheel drive, see what I mean about meeting people. Despite being rear-wheel drive, the boot floor is reasonably flat. Actually, it's flatter than a Volvo's, which is front-wheel drive, but it's set up for four-wheel drive. And yeah, there's loads of room in the boot. The back seats are enormous. I am 5'10". I have the driver's seat quite far back. I sat in the back seat earlier, and there is plenty of knee room. It's as big as a Skoda Superb, which is just an enormous car, and 5 Series E-Class. It's a big old car. It's super fast. Let's put my foot down on this quiet bit. Like I say, 0 to 60 in 6.1 seconds. Handles it easily, and because it damps you so well from the conditions outside, the sensation of speed is lost slightly over a sports car, and it's quite well insulated, so you can go sometimes too fast for the conditions if you don't watch what you're doing. It is quite easy to find yourself coming into a corner a little bit too quick. You have to stab on the brakes. The brakes are adequate. They're not over, they're not over servoed. The brakes are really only just adequate for the car. That's not to say that they're under-spec'd, but they're not as powerful as in the XFR and the XFRS. Steering is just typical Jaguar. Oily, smooth. It's lovely. It's aside from a Porsche, this is my favourite steering on any road car really. All Jaguars managed to retain the same sort of feel, which goes all the way back to an E-Type. I drove an E-Type recently, and it has the same kind of steering feel, even though it's a completely different setup. I don't know how they do it, but if you were to steer a Jaguar blindfold, you'd know it's a Jaguar. I don't know how they do it. Some kind of magic in the engineering department. It's very luxurious inside. It's got absolutely glorious material Alcantara on the A-pillar and on the roof headlining, which, even in a 70 grand Mercedes AMG E-Class AMG, you've got that horrible kind of twill material that you find on a dirt cheap car. In this, you get Alcantara. It's a £44,000 car. It's just superb to look at and touch. Whereas the normal stuff you get on A-pillars and on roof linings is just horrible on most cars. The dash top is just covered in leather with lovely stitching. It's fantastic quality leather. The seats are in the same leather. The infotainment system in this car is typical Jaguar. I find it really easy to use. It's got iPhone integration for calls, not Bluetooth for music. You have to plug it in, but it's got the digital radio as well. The info screen also works the sat nav, which is a very good system. We got a little bit lost in town I was in Wiltshire called Calm, trying to find somewhere in the middle of town, but otherwise it's been reliable today. I love this car. The materials, the drive, for the price, it's absolutely spot on. I'd buy one of these if I had a spare £4,000. Yeah, absolutely love the Jaguar XF. Its roads I also love, and we're coming to the end of the 60-mile-an-hour zone now. Just gone past Kate Middleton's parents' house actually in Bucklebury. Anyway, that's the Jaguar XF.